Hi guys, Blake here today with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful upper Lake Taneycomo. It is...
Oh, that good hook good.
I was just pulling it up to cast. Oh, so anyway, I just had my line laying out in the water here, and I've already hooked a fish. Anyway, it is Saturday, August the 28th. A little bit cooler out here today. Only 90 to 91 today instead of 100. I got a really nice wind blowing here. Today I am throwing my 7'6" 3-weight fly rod. I have one of the tiny airlock indicators on. I've got 7X tippet attached to my leader, and the fly that I'm throwing today is the Derringer jig. And I'll show that to you here in just a second. There's a fish. Oh, if he doesn't take my jig. Come here. Okay. And that is the Derringer jig. Cast that back out there. This is going to be the official first cast. That was just a bonus fish. So anyway, we got some real windy conditions here today, which is what I was looking for. I was looking for some of that chop on the water, and I'm gonna actually have to slow my boat down here in order to not drag my jig along too fast. The water's still off at the moment. They're actually not going to run any water until 5 o'clock today, and they're only going to run one unit from 5 to 6, and then they're shutting it back off according to the schedule. Haven't really had many fishing reports today. I know we've had some people fishing off the dock with night crawlers this morning, catching one here and there. Night crawlers seem to have been one of the hot items for fishing with, even for most of the guides that are going out to keep fish. Captain Blake Harris had a trip last night. They boated 2 rainbows over 20 inches on the Signature Series jerkbaits. We got some cloud cover rolling in, a little chance of rain for the next 2 days. Looks like it might make it to us before tomorrow, if these clouds keep coming in the way they are. Other than that, I don't really have any fishing reports. There's a fish. That is an official miss on the first cast. Darn it. So this flat that I'm fishing over, well, it got a little deeper. It was shallower over there, but right now it's probably about 6 to 7 foot deep right where I'm at, and I've got that set at about 5.5 foot deep. I might increase my depth just a little bit here, actually, now that the wind's blowing me over some of the deeper part of the flat here. But ideally, I'm just trying to keep that little jig. This could be I could be using a marabou jig, one of the Turner micro jigs, a pink power worm on a jig head. Any of those things I would be using the same setup for. A little indicator, 7X tippet. You could probably get away with 6X, especially with this kind of wind on the water right now. But and then set it about 1 foot to 2 off of the bottom. just going to do circles today here. Kind of go circles around my line, trying to keep up with the wind. But just about any spot on the lake where there's some really good chop like this would be a great place to be fishing lots of different kinds of presentations under an indicator. Or even, you know, anything, really, just anything, fishing anything underneath the chop is always better. If I had a night crawler blown up with air, it would be better here than in a spot where the water's flat. But regardless, if I'm gonna fish an indicator and something underneath it, I'm looking for this kind of chop, and then you just look at your depth finder and set it about a foot off the bottom. Even though I've got a lot of wind, I'm still shaking that indicator, giving that thing some extra action. Probably every 5 seconds I'm moving it. I actually picked the wrong color indicator. With the cloud cover and the amount of chop on the water, I can barely see that pink, that dark pink bobber. I should have went with a white there, but I talked to some guys that were fishing right above our resort. There was a little bit of chop up there when I first started driving up the lake. Stopped and talked to them for a second. They said they were throwing their fly rods, and they were actually using a jig kind of like this one, except it was an olive with a little Chanel body and marabou tail. Said they had caught 15 or 20 right there above the resort. I'm gonna go back here and just take a look at my depth real quick. 6.2 foot, I should be just about right. Another little bit of advice: anytime you see the bobber do anything funny, or the indicator I should say, set the hook. If something just seems a little bit off, or if it shakes a direction you don't think was right, just set the hook, because sometimes they're just coming up and barely taking that. Another little stalker trout here. Come here, buddy. I'm being lazy and not using the net today. Probably won't pay off, but there's another one. I do tend to favor these flats like this one here when I come and do this stuff, just because it is easier to set something 5.5 or 6 foot deep than it is to set it 10 or 12 foot deep like you would have to do if you were fishing that middle part above the resort. And you know, trout for the most part tend to favor the flats, I guess, unless they're too shallow during the heat of the day, then they probably drop off into the deeper parts of the lake. But lots of boats out on the water today. Everyone's out enjoying this beautiful Saturday we have here. I'm pretty much just doing circles around my indicator right now with the trolling motor, keeping that wind from blowing me fast enough to pull my bobber. Sometimes catching fish out here comes down to trolling motor control. Gotta be able to control your drift or your presentation. But I have been hearing of some good successful early morning trips with people using night crawlers blowing up on the bottom. Anywhere from Fall Creek down to Short Creek, people have been finding good pockets of pretty healthy sized rainbows, good eating size rainbows. Casting a 3-weight rod in the wind is also a little bit of a task. Them only turning water on for an hour tonight, the water temperature in the lake is going to be a little higher tonight. That might affect how well the trout feed or how active they are. Whenever they turn the water on in the afternoons and run it for 5 or 6 hours, that really cools the temperature back off for the evening and night time and into the next morning. And when they don't cool it off, I think it definitely affects their eating habits and how much they move around at night. Let's see if I can get one more fish to bite here. I feel like there's a chance I've missed about 10 bites already just because it's so hard to see that indicator. that my bobber went under there. Indicator. I know some people are going to get mad at me for calling it a bobber. Oh, there he was. And that is the one thing that you just have to be so careful about when you're using this 7X tippet, is if you set the hook like I just did, you will lose your fish. I set the hook way too hard there. Tell you the one other thing about 7X tippet, it is hard to see. It's like tying with a frog hair. Okay, we're back in action. Oh, there's a fish already right there. Here, little guy. Oh. Looks like he's been caught a time or two before. There we go. See if we can just keep repeating that over and again. Kind of got the perfect amount of chop right now. Alright, just a couple more minutes here. But you know, this part of the year with the hot weather and the hot water and the bright sun can make these days fishing with the water off kind of challenging. But this right here is definitely something you can do. It doesn't have to specifically be this jig. It can be quite a variety of just those real small little jigs or midges, just real tiny presentations on really small line, and find some wind and set it close to the bottom. That is my best advice if you're trying to go the artificial way. And it would seem that the night crawler so far is ruling the summer again on the live bait side of things, scented baits. But it definitely helps to blow that night crawler up with air. So if you're gonna do that, I highly suggest making sure you put some air in it. Maybe we'll come out and do that tomorrow and try the night crawler filled with air. Whatever you're throwing out there underneath your indicator, don't be afraid to really move that thing quite a bit. I think it helps out a lot. There's a fish. Oh, he popped off of there, darn it. All right, guys, well, we're going to end it on that note. We really thank you for watching today. Like and share us on Facebook, and we will get out here and do it for you again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.